Okay, quick question for you. When was the last time you, like, actually checked the outer third of your eyebrows?
Uh-huh.
Seriously, go take a look. Because if they're kind of doing a disappearing act, like the Cheshire Cat's grin fading out, well, that might actually be a bit of an emergency signal we need to discuss.
That is, yeah, that's one of the really specific, almost weirdly architectural signs, isn't it? Of a deficiency most people just aren't thinking about. You're right, it's a great place to start.
Because today, yeah, we're
Oh.
diving into this
Hmm.
this invisible boss, this tiny overlooked choice mineral that apparently runs the whole show, iodine.
Right.
It's supposed to be, in our food, in our salt.
Mhm.
But it seems like it's suddenly gone. And the results are, well, they're pretty dramatic.
Uh-huh.
So we're doing a deep dive today into the 7, let's call them weirdest warning signs that your body is basically screaming for this stuff, starting with the eyebrow thing and going all the way to your brain power.
It almost sounds like an exaggeration, doesn't it? But it's not.
Yeah.
When you look at how the food chain is, well, fundamentally broken down now, it starts to make sense why this is happening.
A modern epidemic because of farming.
Pretty much. Modern agriculture, it's just depleted iodine so widely from the soil over time.
Which means, okay, the whole chain is broken, right?
Yeah.
If it's not in the soil, the plants can't grab it.
Exactly.
If the plants don't have it, the grass, whatever, then the animals eating those plants don't get it.
Yep.
And if the animals don't get it, then you, eating the meat or the dairy or whatever, you're definitely not getting your daily dose.
It's a critical failure right at the foundation of how we get our nutrients.
Okay, let's back up a little bit historically.
Yeah.
Because this isn't like a brand new problem exactly. Back in the 1940s, goiters were a huge thing, right?
Oh, massive. Yeah. Those huge enlargements of the thyroid gland in the neck. It was very visible public health crisis in certain areas. A big problem.
And the fix was
Yeah.
pretty simple.
Incredibly simple and so effective. They introduced iodized salt, just added this tiny mineral to the salt everyone uses.
Right.
And poof, the deficiency, the goiters, they practically vanished almost overnight. It was genuinely one of the great public health wins of the century.
But then things went backwards.
Yeah.
You mentioned this great sea salt deception. Sounds dramatic.
Well, it kind of was in its own quiet way. In the 70s, maybe bleeding into the 80s, iodized salt suddenly wasn't cool anymore.
Uh-huh.
People started swapping it out for fancier stuff, gourmet salts, and especially sea salt, which sounds really healthy, right? From the sea.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be packed with minerals.
You would. But here's the funny twist. Sea salt actually contains, like, almost no iodine. Negligible amounts.
Seriously?
Seriously. It's like, okay, imagine replacing a vital piston in your car engine with a really beautiful but totally useless glass figurine.
Right.
It looks much nicer on your kitchen counter, maybe. But for getting iodine into your system, it does absolutely nothing.
Wow, okay. So we're not getting enough because we ditched the iodized salt. But it gets worse, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about not getting enough iodine. We're actively, like, blocking the little bit we do get.
Yeah, this is where it gets really tricky. We're sort of fighting this constant chemical battle inside us. The main things that actively deplete iodine or block its absorption are 2 elements we run into constantly: fluoride and chlorine.
Fluoride and chlorine. Okay, where are we getting those?
Everywhere, basically. Tap water is a big one for both.
Right.
And then fluoride, obviously, toothpaste, mouthwash, those fluoride treatments you get at the dentist.
So how do they block iodine?
They're chemically very similar enough that the thyroid gland, which is kind of desperate for iodine, it accidentally grabs onto the fluoride or chlorine instead.
Oh, so it gets clogged up with the wrong stuff.
Exactly. It thinks it's getting iodine, but it's not. And just a key point here about who's most vulnerable. If you're following a vegetarian or especially a vegan diet, you're automatically at higher risk because you're cutting out the foods that are naturally highest in iodine.
Which are?
Things like shellfish, ocean fish, eggs, dairy. Those are the traditional big hitters for iodine. So yeah, plant-based diets need careful planning for this.
Got it. Okay, let's get into these weird physical signs. The 7 red flags. Sign number 1, back to the start. The disappearing eyebrow. Why just the outer third? That's so specific.
It is strangely specific, isn't it? It's considered a classic, almost textbook sign of hypothyroidism, which is just a low thyroid state.
Right.
The body, when it's low on resources, it starts prioritizing, cutting back on non-essentials and For whatever reason, evolutionarily maybe, that outer eyebrow hair follicle seems to be one of the first things that shuts down.
Wow. Okay, so if the thyroid is low, that leads right into sign number 2. Just general widespread hair loss, right?
Yeah.
Not just eyebrows.
Absolutely. Iodine is the core building block for thyroid hormones, T4, T3. If you can't make those hormones properly...
It's like you do have the iodine.
Exactly. Then the whole hair growth cycle gets disrupted. You just start shedding more hair all over your head. It's a really common symptom of low thyroid.
Okay, so the thyroid's struggling. It's trying to grab onto any iodine it can find. What happens to the gland itself? Does it just shrink away?
No, quite the opposite, actually. It panics. Which brings us to sign number 3. That feeling of a lump in your throat, or hoarseness.
Ah, the goiter returning.
Precisely. That feeling of tightness, the hoarseness, maybe difficulty swallowing, that's the thyroid gland physically getting bigger. It's enlarging itself, forming a goiter in this desperate attempt to increase its surface area.
Like it's trying to cast a wider net.
Exactly, trying to trap any tiny bit of iodine floating by in the bloodstream. And when it gets big enough, it starts pressing on your windpipe, your esophagus, your vocal cords, hence the lump feeling and the hoarseness.
Okay, wow. And the last one for this sort of physical oddity section, sign number 4. This one I'd never even think to look for. An enlarging tongue.
Yeah, it sounds bizarre, but it's a real sign. You'd look for indentations, like teeth marks, around the sides of your tongue.
Scalloped edges.
That's the word, scalloped edges. It indicates swelling, water retention, what doctors call edema. When the thyroid isn't working right, fluids and inflammation can pool in tissues, including the tongue, making it physically bigger.
Okay, so we've got disappearing eyebrows, hair loss, a lump in the throat, a big tongue. These are the kind of outside signs, the red flags.
Right, the visible clues.
But let's look under the hood now, into the engine room.
Yeah.
Because this is where iodine deficiency causes real systemic chaos, isn't it?
Absolutely. Sign number 5 is the metabolism slowdown. This is the classic unexplained weight gain.
Right. You haven't changed how you eat, you haven't stopped exercising, but the pounds are just creeping up, and it's kind of everywhere.
Exactly. Not just belly fat, but sort of. Equal opportunity weight gain all over the body. Because the thyroid, well, it's the master gland of your metabolism.
The body's thermostat.
Perfect analogy. If iodine, the fuel, is missing, the thermostat gets turned way down. The whole metabolic assembly line slows to a crawl. Your body starts hoarding energy, storing everything as fat.
Makes sense. Now, sign number 6. This one feels huge. You said the thyroid is like the puppet master for our hormones.
Oh, totally. It has massive influence over your sex hormones, both estrogen and testosterone. And when it's low, you often see this state called estrogen dominance.
Estrogen dominance. So low thyroid means estrogen levels go up.
Effectively, yes, or the balance gets thrown way off. For women, this can show up as really debilitating symptoms. We're talking severe PMS, heavy, painful periods, terrible cramping, maybe aching in the hips or breasts, headaches too.
Okay. But what about the other side? Testosterone.
Yeah, this is fascinating. On the flip side, testosterone levels often plummet. And this isn't just in men, it happens in women too.
Low T from low iodine.
It's surprisingly common. For a lot of guys experiencing low testosterone symptoms, not just low libido, but fatigue, brain fog, lack of motivation sometimes, simply getting their iodine levels back up can resolve the issue pretty quickly too.
That's kind of mind-blowing. Because guys usually jump to thinking about, testosterone replacement therapy or something complex.
Right. But sometimes the root cause is way simpler. Just this missing trace mineral we basically forgot about.
And why should we care about low T beyond just sex drive?
Oh, it's critical for so much more. Testosterone is like your body's internal repair crew. It's a powerful anti-inflammatory. It supports your immune system. Crucially, it helps maintain muscle mass in both men and women and bone density.
Preventing things like osteoporosis.
Exactly. Osteopenia, osteoporosis. It prevents muscle wasting as we age. So if your T levels drop because of something like iodine deficiency, your whole structural health starts to decline. It's really foundational for just staying healthy and strong long term.
Foundational. Okay, now we get to number 7. And you said this one is maybe the most interesting, or maybe the most terrifying. Lower IQ.
Yeah, lower IQ. And let's be clear, this isn't just about iodine deficiency during pregnancy affecting fetal brain development, which is, very well established.
Right, that's no.
This is about a measurable drop in IQ in cognitive function in adults at any age. If you become deficient, your brain power can take a hit.
Okay, but how? What's the actual link? How does a mineral in my thyroid gland affect my ability to think clearly or solve problems?
Because the thyroid hormones directly regulate brain activity. Certain parts of the brain are packed with thyroid hormone receptors. Think of the hippocampus.
Okay. Memory, learning.
Executive function, decision-making,
Yeah.
attention, focus, memory, yeah. And the cerebral cortex, the outer layer responsible for higher thought. These areas need those thyroid hormones to work optimally.
So if you're deficient in iodine, you can't make enough hormone.
And you're essentially starving those key brain regions. This can lead to reduced creativity, difficulty concentrating, slower processing, poor memory, just diminished cognitive horsepower overall.
Wow. Okay, this brings us to that really critical twist you mentioned, the measurement problem. We hear whispers sometimes that IQ scores have been slowly declining globally, maybe for the last 40 years or so, but nobody seems to be like rioting in the streets about it.
Uh-huh.
So are you suggesting we're all getting functionally a bit dimmer, but we've kind of hidden the evidence by just lowering the bar for what counts as normal?
That is precisely what seems to be happening. The baseline keeps getting readjusted downwards. It's called the Flynn effect in reverse, some researchers are noting.
So we're not comparing today's average score to the score someone would have gotten on the same test under the same conditions back when, say, iodine levels were much higher, like in the 1950s.
Exactly. We're comparing you to the current average person who is, frankly, statistically much more likely to be iodine deficient themselves.
So it's like the testosterone thing again. We look at modern average T levels, which are way lower than they were generations ago, and we call that normal, even though it might be functionally low compared to healthy historical standards.
Yes, we're normalizing deficiency. We're normalizing suboptimal function across the board simply because it's become the average.
That's unsettling.
It is. And the hard data backs this up. If you look at urine iodine excretion levels, which is how we measure status, they are about 50% lower now than they were just in 1990.
50% in roughly 30 years.
Yeah. It's a dramatic drop. And is it any wonder that hypothyroidism, low thyroid function, is one of the most common health issues globally, often showing up first as things like chronic depression, anxiety, or persistent fatigue?
And quickly, before we wrap this section, you mentioned Hashimoto's. That's the autoimmune version of low thyroid, right? Is there a key partner mineral needed alongside iodine there?
Yes, absolutely crucial. Selenium. Selenium is essential, especially if there's autoimmunity like Hashimoto's. It works with iodine and helps protect the thyroid gland from the oxidative stress that can happen when you increase iodine intake, especially in a sensitive gland. They work as a team.
Okay. Selenium. Got it.
Yeah.
So let's try and synthesize this. What does this all mean for you listening? This little butterfly-shaped gland in your neck, the thyroid, it's doing way more than just keeping you warm.
Oh, infinitely more. It's regulating your sex hormones, like we talked about ovaries, testicles. It's controlling that estrogen dominance picture. It's supporting your muscles, your bones, your immune function. And critically, it's directly affecting your mood, your energy levels, and your cognitive function. It really does touch almost everything.
So the main takeaway here should probably be about prevention, right? Don't wait until your eyebrows fall out or you can't remember where you put your keys.
Absolutely. The goal should be to prevent deficiency in the first place, and that means consciously getting iodine-rich foods back into our diets.
And remembering that fancy sea salt isn't the answer.
Definitely not. We need to look towards actual sea sources. Seaweed is a powerhouse kelp, nori, dulse. Shellfish, if you eat them. Ocean fish.
And what about eggs and dairy? You mentioned them earlier.
They can be sources, but there's a big if. They only contain decent amounts of iodine if the animals themselves were getting iodine in their feed.
So you can't just assume any old egg or glass of milk will do it.
No, unfortunately. It depends entirely on the animal's diet. So maybe don't rely on those as your primary source unless you know the farming practices.
Okay. And just as important as getting iodine in is protecting it from those blockers we talked about.
Crucial. You really need to consider filtering your drinking water to remove chlorine and fluoride. Those are major antagonists.
And be mindful of toothpaste and those dental fluoride treatments.
Yes. Minimize exposure where you can, because every time you encounter fluoride or chlorine, they're potentially blocking iodine from getting into your thyroid where it needs to be.
Okay, so maybe a final thought to leave people with. If we are potentially lowering the baseline for what we consider normal cognitive function or normal hormone levels, just because the average person is, well, declining.
Yeah.
What other fundamental standards of human health might we be unknowingly sacrificing right now just by accepting the current average as okay?
That's a heavy question, but a really important one to think about. What else are we normalizing?
Something to chew on maybe while you're checking your water filter or checking your eyebrows in the mirror.